Today we're going to take a look at more ways to interpret data. So you've learned how to make a dot plot. You've learned how to find mean, median, and mode. Today we're going to add range and quartiles and interquartile range to that. So it's not nearly as scary as it sounds. So let's get started. We're going to be working on page 414 of your textbook, page 414. And I'm going to be able to show you flipping back and forth somehow. Did I do this before? There we go. I practiced this, how to switch from the whiteboard to the book. And there we go. Yay. All right. So you should be able to see our textbook here. Sorry, that took a minute. Hopefully it won't take me as long to switch back to the whiteboard. You should be able to see our textbook here. And you'll see this measure of variation describes the distribution of a data set. And one easy way to interpret this data or measure a variation of this data is by the range. And the range is the difference between the greatest value and the least value. So this is why I just wanted to show you this, look at our book together, because this is super simple. It says, this table shows the lengths of several Burmese pythons captured for a study. Find and interpret the range of their lengths. And you can see here that their lengths are 18.5, 11, 14, 12 and a half, 16.25, 8, 10, 15.5, 6.25, and 5. So as we did last week, whenever we were looking for median and mode, we put these in order from least to greatest. And you can see that the least amount, the least length was 5, and the greatest was 18.5. I really don't want to deal with the 5-foot Burmese python, much less the 18.5, but regardless, those are our lengths. The least is 5, the greatest is 18. So all you do is take the greatest and subtract the least. So 18.5 minus 5 is 13.5. And 13.5 feet is the range. It means that the information represented here, the difference in any two given numbers can never be greater than 13.5. The lengths are never going to vary by more than 13.5 because that is the greatest distance from the least to the greatest. So take the greatest, subtract the least, that's your range. So this information ranges from 5 to 18.5. Okay, the age of people in line for a roller coaster. Okay, let's go back, see if I can figure out how to go back to the whiteboard. Check it out. Okay. So we've got people in line for a roller coaster and their ages are, we have 15, we have 17, 21, 32, 41, ooh, that's a crazy 3, 30, 25, 52, 16, 39, 11, and 24. Okay, so I'm going to go back and count the numbers in the book. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So now I'm going to put them in order. And so we've got one brave 11-year-old. And then we have 15. And then we have 16. And then we have 17. And then we have 21. And then we have 24, 25, 30, 32, 41, and 52. Oh, and we missed 39. I missed 39, you didn't. So we'll go back and do 39, 41, 52. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so now we've decided that the least is 11, the greatest is 52, so 52 minus 11 equals 41. So the range of this data is 41 years, because these were ages in years. And that's it. And that's all you have to do. Take the greatest, subtract the least. Okay? Now, if we wanted to find median and mode for fun, there is no mode because there's no number that occurs more than once. And then your median would be 15 and 41, 16 and 39, 17 and 32, 24 and 25. So what would be in between those? 24.5. So your median in this case would be 24.5. Okay, so as you can tell, range is super easy. So let's move on to quartiles. So for quartiles, the most important part is to be organized. So the quartiles of a data set divide the information into 4 equal parts. So you've got, in the example that they're showing us, let's go back to that for just a moment. Okay, so let's go back to this. So in the example that they're showing us, it's 18, 21, 22, 24, 28, 30, 31, 32, 36, 37. That's their data list. Okay, so then they found the median, which is also called second quartile. So they said, well, 18 would cancel 37, 21 would cancel 36, 22 would cancel 32, 24 would cancel 31, 28 and 29 would be, or 28 and 30 would be in the middle. What's in between 28 and 30? Or you could add these up and divide by 2 and get 29. So the median, which is the second quartile, we just haven't called it that until now, is 29. Now, in order to find your first quartile, that's everything from the beginning of the data to the median. See how they made this nice little bracket here? And that's called the lower half for the first quartile. And then this is the upper half or the third quartile. First, median is second, the upper half is third. So to find the median of the lower half, the first quartile would be 18 cancels 28, 21 cancels 24, and you're left with 22, which is the first quartile median. So 22 is the number that we call the first quartile. Okay, so this is the lower half, and then the median of the lower half is called the first quartile. And then you find the median of the upper half, and that's the third quartile. So here, the upper half is everything from, or the third quartile range is everything from the median to the highest number. So then you would repeat that process again. 30 crosses off 37, 31 crosses off 36, and you're left with 32, which is the third quartile. So with that being said, we have our first quartile at 22. Our second quartile is 29, because that was the median of the whole thing. And then the third quartile is 32, because that is the middle or median of the upper half. Now, we can also find something called interquartile range. If you recall, the range was the difference between the least and the greatest. So the greatest amount minus the least. Okay? The interquartile range is the difference between the third quartile and the first. So you would take the difference between the third quartile and the first quartile. This is 32 minus 22. So your interquartile range is 10. Okay, so don't panic. We're going to keep working with this. This is the first time we've seen this. If it's a little confusing, just stay with me. Okay, so let's take a look at this information on the next page, 415, about this really cool looking car here. And we're going to do a dot plot for the top speeds of 12 sports cars. Okay, so let's go back up here. Go back to our whiteboard. All right, and it says here that they have ordered the speeds from the slowest to the fastest. Okay, I don't know that I count 220 miles an hour slow, but okay. So they have 220, and then it goes up to 270. And then 225, 230, 235, 240, 245, 250. I was afraid I was going to run out of room, but I'm going to have plenty. 255, 260, 265, 270. Wow, I could have really spread those beginning ones out, but in the sake of time, we'll just leave it. Okay, so there was one that went 220, two that went 230, two that went 240, one 245, three that were 250, two that were 260, and one that was 270. Okay. So they've already put them in order from slowest to fastest, and they've already plotted them out. So we can already tell here that we have a peak at 250. Okay. And we could say we have a little gap and a little gap and a little gap and a little gap, but for the most part, it's spread out pretty nicely between 220 and 270. Nothing looks like a major outlier. There's no weird number like 10. Okay, so now I want to find the median, which is the second quartile. So that would be, I'll go ahead and write these out again, 220. Oh, just one second. I added 225, and I only need to add the numbers that actually have a dot above them. So it's 220, and then I have two 230s, so 230, 230, and then I have two 240s, so 240, 240, and then I have a 245, just one, so 245. And then I have three 250s, 250, 250, 250. And then I have two 260s. And then I have a 270. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I make sure that I have the same number of dots as I have numbers from least to greatest. So if I wanted to find the range of this, the lowest is 220, the highest is 270. So the range of the whole data list is 270 minus 220. So the range would be 270 minus 220, which is 50. Make that look like a minus sign. Now, to find the quartiles, let's find the median. So we would have cross off, work your way in, 3, 4, 5. So your median or second quartile would be between 245 and 250. So your median is going to be between here. So when it's between two numbers, I can say 245 plus 250 is 495, and then divide that by 2. $247.5. So my median is 247.5. 247.5. Okay. Now that's my second quartile, and that can be written as Q2, or I like to do Q and the little number 2. Okay, Q2. So it could be a Roman numeral 2, could just be a 2. We're going to do it with just a 2. Q2. Okay, so our quartile 2 is right there. Now, our lower half is everything from that little caret there. This is called a caret or an insert. Everything from the caret to the beginning. This is the lower half. Everything from the caret to the end is the upper half. So now let's find the median of the lower half, which is going to become the first quartile. So 240 and 245, 230 and 240, 240, or 230 and 240. So it's going to be right here. Now, I could add up and then divide by 2, but I know that halfway between 230 and 240 is 235. So quartile 1 is going to be 235 for quartile 1. Now let's go for quartile 3. So we have 250 takes out 270, 250, 260, 250, and 260. So halfway between 250 and 260, if I add that up and divide by 2, I'll get 255. And that's quartile 3. So we have quartile 1, quartile 2, or the median, quartile 3. Now, how do we find the IQR, the interquartile range? That's Q3 minus Q1. Q3 minus Q1. And that's 255 minus 235, so that would be 20 miles per hour. So the range is 50 miles per hour. The peak is 250. The median is 247.5, or also known as quartile 2. Then the quartile 1, which is halfway between the median and the beginning, is 235. Quartile 3, which is halfway between the median and the end, is 255. And if you subtract quartile 3, or if you subtract quartile 1 from quartile 3, it's 20. Okay? Now, if you wanted to find the mode of this data, that would be the one that occurs the most, and that would be 250, because there were 3 250s. Okay? So I know it sounds a little confusing, but really if you break it down and think to yourself, okay, first let's find the median. Got it. Now let's go from the median to the beginning and find that median. Then let's go from the median to the end and find that median. You got it. Okay? So that's where we're going to stop on this lesson for today. We're not going to worry about checking for outliers on this lesson. And all you're going to be doing is 6 through 14 evens. So your assignment will be 6 through 14 on page 416. Oh, how weird is that? 6 through 14 on 416. Evens. Okay? Evens only. Now, we're going to do the first one together that is going to involve the first quartile, the third quartile, and the interquartile range. So you'll only have to do one of those by yourself. So go ahead and put number 12 at the top of your paper, because we're going to start with 12, because we're going to work it together. 6 and 8 will be on your own. 10 will be on your own. We're doing 12 together, and then you'll have to do 14. So number 12, here we go. So it's easier for me if I write them. And since I can't mark things off in the book, I just write them down on my paper like they are. And then go back and put them in order where I can cross them off. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. So my lowest number is 75. And then I have a 76. Do I have a 77? Do I have a 77? Nope. 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, well, 84, and then 85, and then 87, 88, 90, 91, 92, 94, 99. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so we've put them in order. Step 1. Now we need to find the median, the first quartile, the third quartile, and the interquartile range. So I think this one cancels this one, 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 nope, this one. So my median, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, yep. So my median is 88. So quartile 2 is 88. Okay, so my little median there. Now, from the median over is the lower half. From the median to the right is the upper half. Okay? So now let's find the first quartile, which is simply just finding the median again, but only of these numbers. Notice how I didn't include this median here. I didn't include quartile 2, okay? So here we have cross, 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 cross. So 84, that's quartile 1. Now let's find quartile 3. Cross, 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 cross. Quartile 3 is 92. So all we're doing is repeating this process, repeating the process. So quartile 2 equals 88. Quartile 1 equals 84. Quartile 3 equals 92, and this is what you're going to write on your paper. You're going to have to write all these, and then you're going to write IQR for interquartile range. So IQR, and this is where you take this quartile 3 and quartile 1, and you subtract. So 92 minus 84 equals 8. So your interquartile range is 8. And that's it. So on those, it's not asking you for median, mode, not even the total range. So for 12 and 14, this is how you're going to work it, and 12 is already done. So 14 is the only one you'll have to do on your own. For 6 and 8, you're just finding the range. Highest number minus the lowest number. For 10, you have to figure out what they did wrong and correct it. Okay, so that's it. So I'm making all of your math assignments for this week due on Friday. You should plan to work on this on Tuesday or Thursday we're kind of doing Wednesdays off for you to work on things as you need to, read AR. It's kind of a whatever you want to do on Wednesday, but I would work on this Tuesday or Thursday at the absolute latest to stay on track. All right, thanks guys. Let me know if you have any problems with this and I'll be happy to help. Miss you and hope to see you soon. Bye.